The transport ship descended through purple clouds toward Velither Prime. Kang Minho pressed his face against the small window and watched the alien world grow larger. Massive crystal towers rose from the surface like frozen lightning. This was the home of the Velith Empire, and Minho was about to walk into their royal palace. He touched the small pressed flower in his pocket. A forget-me-not from Earth. His sister had given it to him before he left. "So you remember home," she had said. Minho smiled at the memory, then his face returned to its usual calm expression. "Stop looking so nervous," Park Suman said from the seat beside him. She was checking her weapon for the third time. "We're just decorations, remember? They don't actually want us to do anything." "Then why hire us?" Minho asked. Suman laughed without humor. "Politics. The coalition wants to show unity. Hiring human security makes them look progressive, but the Velith think we're weak. They'll probably stick us by some empty hallway and forget about us." The ship landed with a soft thump. Minho stood and adjusted his uniform, dark blue with Earth symbol on the shoulder. He was proud of it, even if the aliens weren't impressed. The landing ramp opened and heat rushed in. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Minho walked down the ramp with the other human contractors. There were 12 of them total. Not many to guard an entire palace, but nobody expected them to actually guard anything. A group of Velith soldiers waited at the bottom. Minho tried not to stare, but it was hard. The Velith were tall, nearly 7 feet, with dark exoskeletons that covered their bodies like natural armor. Their faces were almost human, but their eyes were larger and completely black. Sharp ridges ran down their arms and legs. They looked like they were born for war. The lead soldier stepped forward. His armor had golden marks on it. "I am Commander Varys. You are the human contractors." He said it like he was naming a type of insect. "Yes, sir," Minho said. "We're here to assist with security during the summit." Commander Varys looked at them the way someone might look at children playing soldier. "You will be assigned positions. You will stay at those positions. You will not enter royal areas without permission. You will not speak to the queen or the princess. Is this clear?" "Very clear," Suman muttered. They were led through the palace. Minho tried to take it all in. Everything was huge and beautiful and intimidating. The walls were made of something that looked like black glass but reflected rainbow colors. Velith guards stood at every corner, watching the humans with unfriendly eyes. The palace was preparing for a major diplomatic summit. Representatives from dozens of alien species would arrive over the next few days. Trade agreements and territorial disputes would be negotiated. It was important work and everyone knew it. Commander Varys assigned the humans to their posts. Just as Suman predicted, they got the unimportant locations. Minho was placed near a garden courtyard that led to the servant quarters. No diplomats would come this way. It was busy work, nothing more. "Told you," Suman whispered before going to her own post. "Don't fall asleep standing up." The first 2 days were boring. Minho stood at his post and watched servants hurry past with trays and supplies. Sometimes Velith guards would walk by and look at him like he was furniture. Nobody spoke to him. Nobody needed him. On the third day, something changed. Minho was watching a small bird-like creature hop through the garden when he heard soft footsteps. He turned and saw a child standing at the garden entrance. She was Velith, but much smaller than the adults. Maybe 4 feet tall with a lighter exoskeleton that looked more delicate. She wore a dress made of purple fabric that shimmered when she moved. Her large black eyes stared at Minho with open curiosity. Minho knew who she was immediately. Princess Nira, the queen's only child. "Hello," Minho said carefully. He wasn't supposed to speak to her, but he couldn't just ignore a child. The princess tilted her head. "You are human." Her voice was high and musical, nothing like the deep growls of adult Velith. "Yes. My name is Kang Minho." "Minho," she repeated, testing the sound. "Your skin looks soft. Does it hurt when things touch you?" Minho smiled. "No, it doesn't hurt. Human skin is tougher than it looks." She stepped closer, fascinated. "The guards say humans are weak, that you break easily." "We're different," Minho said. "Not better or worse. Just different." Princess Nira walked into the garden looking at the flowers. "I'm not supposed to be here, but everyone is busy with summit preparations. Nobody notices me." Something in her voice made Minho sad. She sounded lonely. "Do you like gardens?" he asked. "Yes, they're quiet. The palace is very loud right now." Minho reached into his pocket and pulled out the pressed forget-me-not. It was flat and dry, but still blue. "This is a flower from Earth, from my home." The princess's eyes went wide. She reached out carefully as if the flower might break. Her fingers had small claws, but she was very gentle. "It's beautiful. Why did you bring it here?" "To remember where I came from." "Do you miss your home?" "Sometimes. But I go where I'm needed." Princess Nira looked up at him. "You're very different from our guards. They never talk like this. They're always serious and hard." "Warriors can be different too," Minho said. "Some are loud and some are quiet. Some protect with swords and some protect with kindness." Before the princess could respond, heavy footsteps approached. A Velith servant appeared, her face tight with worry. When she saw Princess Nira, she made a clicking sound of relief. "Princess, you cannot wander like this. Your mother will be upset." Princess Nira handed the flower back to Minho carefully. "Thank you for showing me. I hope we can talk again." "Maybe we will," Minho said. The servant hurried the princess away, scolding her gently. Before they turned the corner, Princess Nira looked back and waved. Minho waved back. He put the flower back in his pocket and returned to his post. The rest of the day passed slowly, but Minho felt different. He had been wrong about this assignment. Maybe he wasn't just decoration. Maybe somehow he was exactly where he needed to be. That night he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the lonely princess in the huge palace. He thought about how she said the guards were always hard, never kind. He thought about how she looked at the earth flower like it was the most precious thing she had ever seen. Minho didn't know it yet, but that brief meeting in the garden had changed everything. In 3 days the summit would begin. In 4 days violence would come to the palace, and in 5 days he would make a choice that would change his life forever. For now, he lay in his small quarters and listened to the alien sounds of the palace at night. Somewhere in the royal wing, a young princess was probably lying awake too, thinking about the soft human who spoke to her like she mattered. The storm was coming, but neither of them knew it yet. The summit began on a bright morning. Ships from across the galaxy filled the sky above the palace. Minho watched from his post as aliens of every shape and size walked through the halls. Some floated, some crawled, some walked on 4 legs or 6. The universe was bigger and stranger than Earth had ever imagined. Security was tight. Velith guards were everywhere, their weapons ready. The palace had the best defensive systems money could buy. Shields, scanners, automated turrets. Nothing could get through. That's what everyone believed. Minho saw Princess Nira twice over the next 2 days. Both times she was with her mother, Queen Araya. The queen was impressive and frightening at the same time. She stood nearly 8 feet tall with an exoskeleton so dark it looked like polished stone. Her crown was made of crystal that grew straight from her head. When she walked, everyone moved out of her way. But when Minho watched her with Princess Nira, he saw something sad. The queen barely looked at her daughter. She didn't hold her hand or bend down to speak to her. She walked ahead while the princess followed behind like a shadow. The Velith way was to be strong, always strong, even with children. Princess Nira caught Minho's eye once and smiled. It was a small secret smile. The queen noticed and frowned, but said nothing. "That kid likes you," Suman said during a shift change. "That's weird, right? Alien princess making friends with the hired help." "She's just curious," Minho said. "Humans are new to her. Well, be careful. I heard Commander Varys complaining that you talked to her. He thinks we're overstepping." "I didn't do anything wrong." "I know. But they're looking for reasons to say humans don't belong here." "Don't give them one." Minho nodded, but he felt frustrated. He had done nothing but his job. If a child wanted to talk to him, was he supposed to ignore her? That seemed cruel. The 3rd day of the summit was when everything went wrong. Minho was at his post in the afternoon. The garden was empty and quiet. Inside the palace, important aliens were arguing about trade routes and mining rights. It was boring work, and Minho was thinking about what he would eat for dinner. Then the lights went out, all of them. Every light in the palace died at once. Emergency systems should have kicked in immediately, but they didn't. The palace was completely dark. Minho's training took over. He pulled out his weapon and pressed his back against the wall. His eyes adjusted slowly to the darkness. Something was very wrong. His communicator crackled. "All units, we are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack. Void talons in the palace. All guards to defensive positions. Void talons." Minho had heard about them. They were Velith rebels who opposed Queen Araya's peace policies. They wanted war, not diplomacy. They were trained warriors, and they were deadly. Explosions echoed through the palace. Screaming started somewhere far away. Minho stayed at his post, his heart pounding. His orders were clear. Stay where you are. Don't move. But then he heard something else through his communicator. A child's voice, terrified and crying. Help! Someone help! They killed Keeper Sana. They're coming! Princess Nira, the communicator, cut out. More explosions. The emergency lights finally flickered on, casting everything in red. Minho made a choice. He ran. He left his post and sprinted through the palace toward the royal wing. Other guards ran past him in the opposite direction, heading toward the main attack. Nobody stopped him. Everyone was too busy trying to survive. The palace was chaos. Bodies lay in the hallways. Velith servants, diplomats, guards. The void talons had struck fast and hard. Minho jumped over debris and kept running. He didn't know exactly where the princess's chambers were, but he followed the sound of fighting. Commander Varys appeared from a side corridor, his armor cracked and bleeding. Human, what are you doing? The princess called for help. Return to your post. We have this under control. Another explosion rocked the palace. Commander Varys cursed and ran toward it. Minho kept going the other way. He found the royal wing by following the bodies. 3 Velith servants lay dead outside a large door. The door had been forced open. Minho slowed down and moved carefully. He could hear voices inside. Adult voices speaking in harsh Velith. Minho looked through the doorway. The room was beautiful and destroyed at the same time. Furniture was broken. Tapestries were torn. And in the center of the room, 3 Velith warriors stood in black armor marked with red symbols. Void talons, they were surrounding something. Minho moved slightly and saw Princess Nira pressed against the wall, frozen in terror. Blood covered her dress, but Minho didn't think it was hers. One of the assassins held a long blade that dripped red. The child dies, one assassin said in Velith. Minho's translator earpiece converted it to words he could understand. The queen's bloodline ends tonight, Minho didn't think. He just moved. He stepped into the room and fired his weapon. The blast caught the nearest assassin in the back of the head. The warrior dropped instantly. The other 2 spun around, shocked. They saw Minho and their shock turned to amusement. A human? One said. They sent a soft skin to protect royalty? Minho fired again, but the assassin was faster. He dodged and charged. Minho barely got out of the way. The assassin's blade cut through the air where Minho's head had been. The 3rd assassin moved toward Princess Nira. Minho couldn't let that happen. He threw his knife. It hit the assassin in the shoulder, not a killing blow, but enough to make him stumble. The 1st assassin attacked again. This time his blade connected, cutting deep into Minho's arm. Pain exploded through him, but Minho gritted his teeth and fought back. He was smaller and weaker than the Velith, but he was fast and he was desperate. He managed to shoot the wounded assassin in the chest. The warrior fell, 2 down. 1 to go, but this last assassin was smarter. He circled Minho carefully, looking for an opening. Minho's arm was bleeding badly. His weapon was running low on charge. He couldn't win this fight, so he changed the rules. Minho ran to Princess Nira and stood directly over her. He spread his arms wide, making himself as big as possible. The message was clear. You have to go through me, the assassin laughed. Noble, stupid, but noble. You'll die for nothing, human. Maybe, Minho said. But not yet. The assassin attacked. His blade was faster than anything Minho had ever seen. It cut across his chest, his shoulder, his back. Minho felt his ribs crack. Felt something inside him tear. He fired his weapon until it clicked empty, then dropped it and just held on. He stayed standing over Princess Nira. He wouldn't move. Couldn't move. The assassin stabbed him again, trying to reach the princess beneath him. Minho's vision went dark at the edges. He couldn't feel his legs anymore. He was dying, but he didn't fall. Footsteps thundered in the hallway. Voices shouting. The assassin cursed and prepared for one final strike. Then Suman was there, firing as she ran. Other guards poured in behind her. The assassin tried to fight, but there were too many. He went down under a wave of weapons fire. Minho collapsed. He tried to catch himself, but his arms wouldn't work. He hit the floor hard. Someone pulled Princess Nira out from under him. She was screaming, reaching for him, covered in his blood. No, no! Don't take him, he stayed. He didn't leave me. More guards arrived. Someone was shouting orders. Minho couldn't understand anymore. Everything was noise and pain. Then a new voice cut through everything, deep and commanding and full of something Minho had never heard from a Velith before. Fear. My daughter. Where is my daughter? Queen Araya pushed through the crowd. She saw Princess Nira alive and screaming. She saw the dead assassins. She saw the dying human on the floor in a pool of his own blood. The queen's black eyes met Minho's fading ones. What has he done? She whispered. He saved her, Suman said, her voice breaking. He used his body as a shield. He wouldn't move. Not even when they were killing him. Princess Nira broke free and threw herself down next to Minho. She grabbed his hand with her small claws. Don't go. Please don't go like father did. Please stay. Minho wanted to tell her it would be okay. Wanted to say something brave. But he couldn't speak anymore. The darkness was taking him. The last thing he heard was Queen Araya's voice, no longer commanding but desperate. Get him to the Royal Medical Wing. Use the regeneration chamber. Use everything we have, but Your Majesty, that technology is only for now. Then Minho knew nothing at all. Everything was white. Bright, painful white that hurt even with eyes closed. Minho tried to move and discovered that pain was everywhere. His chest, his back, his arms. Every breath felt like knives. Stay still, a voice said. Not human. The words were translated through something mechanical. Your body is still healing. Movement will damage the repairs. Minho forced his eyes open. The white resolved into a ceiling made of some glowing material. Medical equipment surrounded him, all alien and strange. A Velith in white robes stood nearby, watching screens that displayed information Minho couldn't read. Where am I? His voice came out rough and weak. The Royal Medical Wing. You have been unconscious for 3 weeks, 3 weeks. Minho tried to process that. The princess? Princess Nira is unharmed. Thanks to you. The medical attendant came closer. You should not be alive, human. Your injuries were catastrophic. Punctured lung, shattered ribs, severe blood loss, spinal damage. We used technology that has never been tested on your species. Queen Araya insisted we try everything. Did it work? Minho asked, then realized how stupid that question was. He was alive and talking. It worked. You will have scars. Your body rejected some of the regeneration on a cellular level. But yes, it worked. You will recover fully. The door opened and Suman rushed in. When she saw Minho awake, she made a sound between a laugh and a sob. You idiot. You complete idiot. Good to see you too, Minho said. Suman pulled up a chair and sat down hard. She looked tired. Do you have any idea what you've done? You're famous. Like across the entire galaxy famous what? The soft human who used his body as a shield to protect an alien child. It's everywhere. Every newsfeed, every diplomatic channel. Humans aren't seen as weak anymore. They're calling you the gentle warrior. Some species are asking to hire human security because of you. Minho closed his eyes. He didn't want to be famous. He just wanted to do his job. There's more, Suman said quietly. Princess Nira won't leave. She's been sleeping on a cot outside this room since they brought you here. The queen has tried everything to get her back to the royal chambers, but Nira refuses. She says she has to wait for her guardian to wake up. Her guardian? That's what she calls you now. She won't sleep anywhere except near you. Won't eat properly. She just waits. It's been 3 weeks, Minho. 3 weeks of a child camping outside medical wing doors. Guilt settled in Minho's chest. That's not healthy. She's a princess. She should be. She watched her caretakers die, Suman interrupted. Then she watched you nearly die saving her. She's traumatized. And apparently you're the only thing that makes her feel safe. Before Minho could respond, voices came from outside the room. A child's voice, high and insistent. I need to check. What if he woke up and nobody told me? The door opened. Princess Nira stood there in a simple dress, her eyes wide. When she saw Minho awake, she went completely still. Hello, Minho said softly. Princess Nira made a sound like a sob. Then she ran to his bed and tried to climb up. The medical attendant started to protest, but Suman waved him off. The princess carefully settled next to Minho, avoiding his injuries. She was shaking. You stayed, she whispered. You woke up. You didn't leave. I promised we would talk again, Minho said. I keep my promises. Everyone else left. The keepers, they tried to fight, but they fell down and didn't get up. Father fell down in battle and never came back. I thought you would be the same. I thought everyone always leaves. Minho felt his heart break for this child. She had lost so much and expected to lose everything. Some people stay, he said gently. Some people fight to stay. Princess Nira curled against his side, careful not to hurt him. I was so scared. But then you were there. You stood over me and you wouldn't move. They hurt you and you still wouldn't move. That's what guardians do, Minho said. They protect the people they care about. Do you care about me? Even though I'm not human? Yes, I care about you. The princess closed her eyes. For the first time in 3 weeks, she looked peaceful. The door opened again. This time, Queen Araya entered. The medical attendant and Suman immediately bowed. Minho tried to sit up straighter but couldn't manage it. The queen was even more imposing up close. Her presence filled the room. She looked at her daughter curled against the injured human. Something complicated crossed her face. Nira, you should not disturb the patient. He's awake, mother. He came back. I can see that. But he needs rest. I'll rest better knowing she's okay, Minho said. His voice was respectful but firm. If it's all right with your majesty, she can stay. Queen Araya studied him with those black eyes. You speak boldly for someone in your position. I speak honestly. It's all I know how to do. A long silence. Then the queen moved closer. She looked down at Minho with an expression he couldn't read. You saved my daughter's life. You used your body as a shield when you could have run, when you could have saved yourself. Why? Because she needed help. That is not an answer. Many beings need help. You specifically chose to die for her. A child you barely knew. An alien child. I need to understand why. Minho thought about it. He was too tired to make up a good answer, so he just told the truth. Where I come from, we believe children should be protected. All children? It doesn't matter what species they are or what planet they're from. They're young and innocent and deserve to grow up. When I heard her calling for help, I couldn't just stand there. My body wouldn't let me. Your body nearly died. Better than my soul dying. If I had stayed at my post while she was killed, I couldn't have lived with that. Queen Araya was quiet for a long moment. The Velith way is different. We teach our children to be strong from birth, to face danger alone, to never show weakness. This is how we survived as a species. And how many children did you lose because they were too young to be strong? Minho asked softly. The queen's expression hardened. For a moment, Minho thought he had gone too far. Then she looked at Princess Nira, who had fallen asleep against his side. Too many, the queen admitted quietly. We lose too many. She reached out and touched her daughter's head gently. It was the first affectionate gesture Minho had seen from her. She has nightmares every night. Screams about the blood and the blades. The royal healers say she has deep trauma. Nothing they tried helped. But here next to you, she finally sleeps. Children need to feel safe, Minho said. Strength is important. But so is knowing someone will protect you while you're still learning to protect yourself. The Velith do not think this way. Maybe they should. Queen Araya looked at him sharply. Then, surprisingly, she almost smiled. You are either very brave or very foolish to lecture a queen. Probably both, Your Majesty. This time she did smile, just a little. You will stay here until you are fully healed. Then we will discuss your future. I have a proposition for you. What kind of proposition? My daughter has named you her guardian. I intend to make it official. You will be assigned as her personal protector. Minho's eyes widened. Your Majesty, I'm just a contractor. I'm not. You are exactly what she needs. Perhaps what we all need. A reminder that strength without mercy is just cruelty. The queen stood. We will speak more when you are recovered. For now, rest. And thank you, Kang Minho. You saved more than just my daughter. You may have saved our future. She left, her steps quiet despite her sighs. Suman let out a long breath. Well, that was intense. She wants me to stay, Minho said, still processing. Permanently. And? What do you think? Minho looked down at Princess Nira sleeping peacefully against him. He thought about the lonely child in the garden, fascinated by a pressed flower. He thought about her screaming for him not to leave, terrified of being abandoned again. I think, he said slowly, that I might not have a choice. Not anymore. Because the queen ordered it? No, because I made a promise. He touched the princess's head gently the way the queen had. I promised her we would talk again. And I'm not finished keeping that promise, Suman smiled. You're a good man, Minho, even if you are an idiot. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the palace was being repaired. The summit had ended early, but new alliances had been formed. The Void Talons had been hunted down. Life was returning to normal, but for Minho, Normal had changed forever. He had come to this planet as hired security, expecting to be ignored and undervalued. Now he was lying in the royal medical wing with a princess sleeping trustingly against his side, and a queen who wanted him to stay forever. He thought about his sister back on Earth, about his old life. Then he looked at Princess Nira and felt something settle in his chest. A decision he didn't know he was making. Maybe home wasn't always the place you were born. Maybe sometimes it was the place where you were needed most. Princess Nira stirred slightly in her sleep. "Don't go," she whispered, still dreaming. "Please stay." "I'm here," Minho said softly. "I'm not going anywhere." And in that moment he meant it. 2 months had passed since the attack. Minho stood in his new quarters and looked at himself in the mirror. The scars were visible even through his shirt. They ran across his chest and back like lightning, dark against his skin. The Velith regeneration technology had saved his life but couldn't erase all the damage. The scars would be permanent. He touched one gently. It didn't hurt anymore, just reminded him of what happened. A knock on his door. "Minho, are you ready?" Princess Nira's voice, bright and excited. "Come in." The princess entered wearing her lesson clothes. She was supposed to be learning about galactic history today, but she always stopped by Minho's room first. It had become their routine. "You look nice," she said. "Are the scars bothering you?" "No, just thinking." "About what?" "About how different everything is now." Nira tilted her head, curious. "Is different bad?" "No, just unexpected. The official ceremony had been a week ago. Minho was named Princess Nira's personal guardian in front of the entire court. The title came with new quarters, a salary that made his old contractor pay look like pocket money, and a level of access to the royal family that made other guards jealous. Commander Varys had protested loudly. A human in such a position was unthinkable. But Queen Araya had been firm. Her daughter needed Minho, and what her daughter needed she would have. Minho still wasn't sure how he felt about it all. He was a soldier, not a nanny. But every time he thought about leaving, he looked at Nira and couldn't do it. "Come on," Nira said, grabbing his hand. "I want to show you something before lessons." She pulled him through the palace halls. Guards nodded respectfully as they passed. That was new too. Minho was treated as minor nobility now, though he still felt like a hired gun pretending to fit in. Nira led him to a balcony that overlooked the capital city. The morning sun made the crystal towers shine like stars. "Look," she said, pointing. "Mother says those towers were built by our ancestors 1,000 years ago. They used some kind of sound technology we don't have anymore. Isn't that amazing?" "Very amazing," Minho agreed. "Do you have buildings like this on Earth?" "Different, but yes. We have tall buildings. They're made of metal and glass mostly. Not as pretty as yours." Nira leaned against the railing. "Tell me more about Earth. You've told me stories, but I want to know everything." This had become another routine. Nira was endlessly curious about human culture. She asked about food, music, holidays, families, everything. Minho found himself talking about home more than he had in years. "Earth has many different kinds of people," he said. "Different languages, different beliefs, different ways of living. We spent a long time fighting each other over those differences. Like the Void Talons fighting Mother? Similar. But we learned eventually that we're stronger together. That's how we made it to space, by finally working as one planet." "The Velith have always been united," Nira said. "But Mother says we're too rigid, that we don't adapt well. She says humans are good at adapting. We've had to be. We're not as strong as other species. We're not as fast or as tough, so we learn to be clever and flexible." "I think that's better," Nira said quietly. "Being strong is good, but being kind is better," Minho smiled. "Who taught you that?" "You did. By protecting me when you didn't have to." A servant appeared and bowed. "Princess Nira, your tutors are waiting." Nira sighed dramatically. "I don't want to study galactic trade routes. They're boring." "Education is important," Minho said, sounding like every parent ever. "Will you walk me there?" "Of course." They walked through the palace together. Nira chattered about her lessons and complained about one of her tutors who was too strict. Minho listened and made appropriate sounds. He was getting good at this. At the door to the lesson room, Nira paused. "Will you be here when I'm done?" "Where else would I be?" She smiled and went inside. Minho took his post outside the door. Another guard was already there, a Velith named Tarek who had served the royal family for 20 years. At first Tarek had been cold to Minho. Now they had a respectful working relationship. The princess seems happy, Tarek said. She's a good kid. She was not before. After her father died, she became quiet. Sad. The queen did not know how to help her. Tarek looked at Minho. You did something we could not. You made her want to live fully again. I didn't do anything special. You treated her like a child instead of a warrior in training. For Velith, this is very special. They stood in comfortable silence. Minho thought about what Tarek said. The Velith way was to be strong always, to show no weakness. Even children were expected to be tough. But Nira had needed something different. She needed to be allowed to be scared and sad and young. After lessons, Minho walked Nira to the garden. She liked to spend time there, especially near where they first met. The pressed forget-me-not from Earth was now in a special frame in her room. She looked at it every night before sleep. Minho, Nira said as they walked. Can I ask you something? Always. Why did you really save me? And don't say it's because I needed help. I want the real reason. Minho stopped walking. He knelt down so he was at her eye level. The real reason is that when I saw you in danger, I didn't see an alien princess. I saw a child who was terrified. And everything in me said that protecting you was the only thing that mattered. More important than my safety. More important than following orders. You mattered more than anything. Nira's large eyes got shiny. Do I still matter? You'll always matter. She hugged him suddenly. Minho hugged her back carefully, mindful of her more delicate frame. They stayed like that for a moment, guardian and princess, human and alien, both finding something they needed in each other. When they pulled apart, Queen Araya was standing nearby. Minho straightened quickly. Your Majesty, I didn't hear you approach? I know. The Queen looked at them both. Nira, go find your music tutor. It's time for your vocal lesson. But Mother, now please. Nira looked between them, worried, but she obeyed, walking away slowly. When she was gone, the Queen approached Minho. Walk with me, she said. It wasn't a request. Minho followed her through the garden. The Queen was silent for a long time. Finally she spoke. My daughter is changing. She laughs now. She asks questions. She looks forward to each day. This is your doing. She's resilient. She would have healed eventually. No, the Queen said firmly. She would have learned to hide her pain. That is the Velith way. We endure. We bury our feelings and become hard. But you taught her something different. You taught her it's acceptable to be soft sometimes. I didn't mean to undermine your culture, Your Majesty. You didn't. You improved it. She stopped walking and looked at him. I have been thinking about what you said in the medical wing. About how many children we lose by forcing them to be strong too soon. You were right. Minho didn't know what to say to that. I lost my mate 2 years ago, the Queen continued. He died in battle against raiders. It was honorable, glorious, everything a Velith death should be. But Nira was only 3 cycles old. She needed her father and he was gone. I did not know how to comfort her. Comfort is not something we practice. I'm sorry for your loss. I became colder after he died. Harder. I thought this was necessary to rule well, to be strong for my people, but I was wrong. I was strong for everyone except my daughter. She needed a parent, not a warrior queen. The Queen touched one of the flowers growing nearby. Her claws were surprisingly gentle. You give her what I cannot. Softness, safety, the knowledge that someone will protect her not because it is duty but because they genuinely care. This is precious. You care about her too, Minho said. Anyone can see that, but I do not know how to show it. The Velith way has made me forget how to be gentle, how to be vulnerable with the one person who should see me that way. She turned to face him fully. I want you to teach me. Minho blinked. Teach you what? How to be what my daughter needs. You are human. Your species understands emotional connection in ways we have lost. Show me how to reach Nira. Show me how to be both strong and gentle. Your Majesty, I'm not qualified to. You saved my daughter's life. You brought light back to her eyes. You are the most qualified person in this entire palace. The Queen's voice was firm. This is not a request. It is a necessity. I am losing her because I do not know how to keep her. Help me. Minho saw something in the Queen's eyes he hadn't expected. Fear. Real, vulnerable fear. She was terrified of losing the one family she had left. All right, he said. I'll try. Thank you. They walked back toward the palace. The queen was quiet again, but it felt different now. Less cold. More thoughtful. "One more thing," she said as they reached the entrance. "There is news from Earth. Your contract extension paperwork has been completed. You are officially assigned to Princess Nira for the next 5 years. After that, it can be renewed or you can return home. The choice will be yours. 5 years. Minho thought about that. 5 years was a long time, but when he pictured leaving Nira, something in his chest hurt. "Understood," he said. The queen nodded and walked away, leaving Minho alone with his thoughts. 5 years. Maybe by then Nira wouldn't need him anymore. Maybe she would be strong enough to stand on her own. Or maybe, Minho thought, 5 years wouldn't be nearly enough time. 4 months had passed since Minho became Princess Nira's official guardian. The palace felt like home now, though he never thought he would say that about an alien world. He had his routines, his duties, and a small child who followed him everywhere like a devoted shadow. Tonight was a state dinner. Important guests from across the coalition were attending. Minho wore formal dress uniform, dark blue with silver threading. He felt uncomfortable in it, but Nira had clapped her hands with delight when she saw him. "You look like a prince," she had said. "I'm definitely not a prince." "Well, you look like one anyway." Now he stood at attention near the queen's table. Nira sat beside her mother, behaving perfectly. She wore a dress of deep purple that shimmered in the light. Her small crown caught the glow of the crystal chandeliers. She looked every bit a princess, but Minho could see she was tired. It was late by child standards. Her eyes kept drifting closed. The dinner dragged on. Speeches were made. Treaties were discussed. Minho's feet hurt from standing. He couldn't imagine how Nira felt. Then it happened. Mid-conversation between the queen and an ambassador, Nira's head drooped. She leaned against Minho's side and fell asleep right there at the formal dinner table. The entire room went silent. This was unthinkable in Velith culture. Showing weakness, especially in public, was shameful. For royal family to do so was even worse. Every guest stared. Some looked shocked. Others looked disapproving. Queen Araya opened her mouth, probably to wake her daughter and scold her. But she stopped. She looked at Nira sleeping peacefully against Minho, then at the disapproving faces around the table. Something changed in her expression. "My daughter has had a long day," the queen said calmly. "She is still young. Let her rest." More shocked silence. Then the ambassador across from them smiled. "Of course, Your Majesty. Children need their sleep. I have 3 myself. They always fall asleep at the worst times." The tension broke. Conversation resumed. But Minho noticed the queen watching her daughter with an expression he couldn't quite read. After the dinner ended and guests departed, the queen approached. "Walk with me," she said. "Bring Nira!" Minho carefully lifted the sleeping princess. She barely stirred, just curled against his chest. They walked through quiet corridors to the queen's private garden, a place few were allowed. The garden was beautiful at night. Bioluminescent flowers glowed soft blue and purple. A small fountain bubbled peacefully. The queen sat on a bench and gestured for Minho to sit beside her. He did, adjusting Nira so she wouldn't wake. 6 months ago, the queen said quietly. If Nira had fallen asleep at a state dinner, I would have been furious. I would have seen it as failure, weakness, shame to our family. And now, Minho asked, now I see a child who felt safe enough to sleep, who trusted that she would be protected. That is not weakness. That is trust. The queen reached out and touched Nira's head gently. You have taught me this. Over the past months, Minho had been teaching the queen as she requested. Small things. How to praise Nira instead of only correcting her. How to listen without immediately giving orders. How to show affection in simple ways. It was awkward at first. The queen was not used to being gentle. But she was trying. Minho could see the effort. She's easier to connect with now, the queen continued. She talks to me about her day. Shows me things she's learned. Last week she asked me to read her a story before bed. She has never asked that before. What did you do? I read her 3 stories, and I found that I enjoyed it. The queen smiled slightly. The Velith way has made us strong, but it has cost us connection. You humans understand something we forgot. That strength without love is hollow. Minho looked down at Nira sleeping in his arms. She makes it easy. She's a good kid. She loves you. You know this, yes? I care about her too. No. The queen shook her head. You do not understand. She truly loves you. as a parent. She has started calling you her guardian not as a title but as family. When she draws pictures, she draws you standing beside me, her family. Minho felt something tighten in his chest. I'm not trying to replace anyone. You are not replacing. You are adding. My daughter had a father who died. Now she has a guardian who lives. Both matter to her. Both shape who she becomes. The Queen paused. I am grateful. More than I can express. You gave me back my daughter, and you are teaching me how to keep her. They sat in silence for a while. The night was peaceful. Nira slept on, peaceful and safe. There is something I must tell you, the Queen said. There are those in the court who oppose your position. They believe a human should not have such influence over the royal heir. Commander Varys has been particularly vocal. I know. I hear the whispers. They will try to undermine you, to create situations where you appear incompetent or inappropriate. You must be careful. I'm always careful. Be more than careful. Be perfect. Give them no opening. The Queen stood. I will support you as much as I can. But there are limits to what even a queen can do against tradition. She left, walking back toward the palace. Minho sat alone with the sleeping princess in his arms. He thought about what the Queen said, about how Nira saw him as family. The truth was he was starting to feel the same way. When he thought about his contract ending in 4.5 years, returning to Earth, never seeing Nira again, it hurt, really hurt. He had come here as hired security. Now he was something else entirely. Something he didn't have words for yet. Minho? Nira stirred, blinking sleepily. Where are we? Your mother's garden. You fell asleep. Oh, she yawned, showing small fangs. Sorry, I tried to stay awake. It's okay. You did well at dinner. She snuggled closer. Can we stay here a little longer? It's pretty. Sure. They sat together watching the glowing flowers. Nira hummed a Valeth song, one of the traditional ones she was learning. Minho recognized it now. He had been learning the language and culture, trying to understand this world better. Minho, can I tell you something? Always. I'm glad you didn't die. When you were protecting me, I was so scared you would leave like Father did. But you came back. I promised I would. I know. You keep your promises. She looked up at him. Will you promise me something else? Depends on what it is. Promise you'll stay as long as you can. I know you might have to leave someday. Humans don't live as long as Veleth, but stay as long as possible, please. Minho felt his throat get tight. This child had lost so much already. Her father, her sense of safety, nearly her life. She was asking for the one thing he wasn't sure he could promise. But looking at her hopeful face, he couldn't say no. I promise, he said. I'll stay as long as I can. Nira smiled and closed her eyes again. Good, because you're my family now. And family doesn't leave. Minho held her and looked up at the alien stars above. He thought about Earth, about his sister, about the life he left behind. It felt very far away now. Maybe because this was becoming his real life, not the temporary assignment, not the contract that would end. This, here, a sleeping child who trusted him completely, a queen who was learning to be gentle, a palace full of aliens who were slowly becoming less alien. Commander Varys appeared at the garden entrance. The Queen requests that the princess be returned to her chambers. Of course. Minho stood carefully. Varys watched him with those cold black eyes. You have made yourself comfortable here, human. I'm just doing my job. Your job is temporary. Do not forget that. Contracts end. Then you will return to your own kind and the princess will learn to do without you. Maybe, Minho said, or maybe some contracts become something more. He walked past Varys, carrying Nira toward her chambers. The commander's words were meant to hurt, to remind him of his place. But they just made Minho more determined. In Nira's room, he tucked her into bed. She grabbed his hand before he could leave. Story? She asked hopefully. You're supposed to be sleeping. Just a short one? Minho sat on the edge of her bed. All right, short one. He told her about Earth, about seasons and snow and holidays. She listened with wide eyes, asking questions. When the story ended, she finally let him go. Good night, Minho. Good night, Nira. He left her room and found Suman waiting in the hall. His friend had taken a position in the palace security force, staying close. You look tired, she said. Long day. I heard what happened at dinner. The princess falling asleep on you. The court is talking about it. Let them talk, Minho. Suman grabbed his arm. You're getting too attached. This is a job. In a few years, you'll go home. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Too late for that. Suman sighed. You really care about her, don't you? Like really care. She's a good kid who's been through hell. She deserves someone who cares. And the Queen. I've seen how she looks at you. That's not just gratitude. I don't know what you're talking about. Right. Suman didn't sound convinced. Just be careful. You're playing with fire here. Royal fire. Alien royal fire. And you're going to get burned. Probably, Minho agreed. But some things are worth getting burned for. He walked to his quarters and fell into bed exhausted. Tomorrow would bring more lessons with Nira, more judging looks from traditional Velith, more attempts to navigate a culture he was still learning. But tonight, he had a child's promise of family and a queen's quiet gratitude. For now, that was enough. He fell asleep thinking about glowing flowers and a small voice saying, "Family doesn't leave." Maybe, he thought, it doesn't. 6 months had passed. The palace felt different now. Warmer somehow, though the temperature hadn't changed. Princess Nira laughed more. She ran through the halls with other young nobles playing games that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Velith children were learning that being strong didn't mean never having fun. Minho watched from his usual post as Nira practiced her combat training. She was good, naturally athletic like all Velith, but she also stopped to help smaller children who fell. She encouraged instead of mocked. The combat instructor didn't know what to do with her kindness. Guardian Minho, Nira called, waving. Did you see? I won my sparring match, I saw. Well done, she ran over, barely winded. Instructor Callis says I'm getting stronger. But I still remember what you said. Being strong is good, but being kind is better. You can be both, I know. I'm trying. Queen Araya appeared from a side corridor. She had been watching too. These days she made more time to observe her daughter, to be present in ways she hadn't before. Nira, continue your training, the Queen said. I need to speak with Guardian Minho. Nira nodded and ran back to the training mat. The Queen gestured for Minho to follow her. They walked to a private meeting room. Once inside, the Queen seemed uncertain. This was unusual. She was always confident, always sure. I received a communication from Earth today, she said finally. From your ambassador Yoon Ji-woo. Minho's stomach tightened. What did it say? Your contract expires in 3 months. Earth expects you to return. They have other assignments for you. Important ones, apparently. 3 months. Minho had known this was coming, but hearing it made it real. Terrifyingly real. Ambassador Yoon suggests that we hire another human for Princess Nira's protection, the Queen continued. Someone who can provide continuity. They have candidates already. I see. I told her no. Minho looked up surprised. Your Majesty? I attempted to extend your contract indefinitely. I offered substantial compensation. I made it clear that no replacement would be acceptable. The Queen's voice was tight. She declined. She said human soldiers are not gifts to be kept. They serve their term and return home. It is their law. She's right. That is our way. I do not care about your way. The Queen's voice rose, then she controlled it with visible effort. I care about my daughter, who will be devastated when you leave, who has finally learned to trust again, who calls you family. There will be other guardians. She'll adjust, will she? The Queen moved closer. Or will this be another abandonment? Another person who leaves and never returns? Her father, then you. How many losses must she endure? Minho didn't have an answer for that. The Queen turned away, her shoulders tense. I have been thinking about this for weeks. About what your departure will mean. I told myself it is only about Nira, that my concern is purely maternal. But that is not entirely true, Your Majesty. I do not want you to leave either. The words came out quietly. Not just for my daughter's sake. For mine. Minho felt like the floor had dropped away. I don't understand. Don't you? The Queen looked at him and her expression was raw. You have changed everything. The way I think, the way I rule, the way I see my own child. Before you came, I was rigid, cold. I thought this was strength. You showed me I was wrong. She moved to the window, looking out at the city. I have started visiting the lower districts, listening to common citizens. I established new social programs for children who lost parents in conflicts. I changed harsh laws that punished weakness. The council thinks I have gone soft. Perhaps I have. But the people are happier. My daughter is happier. I am happier. Those changes came from you, not me. You inspired them. You showed me that leading with compassion is not weakness, that caring for others is the truest strength. She turned back to him, and somewhere in these past months I have come to depend on your presence. Your wisdom, your gentle way of seeing the world. I value your opinions. I enjoy our conversations. She hesitated. I do not want to face my duties without you here. Minho's mind raced. This was more than gratitude, more than respect. The Queen was admitting to something deeper. I'm just a human, he said carefully. A soldier. I'm not qualified to advise royalty. You are more than that. You are someone who sees clearly when others are blinded by tradition, someone who cares without agenda, someone who... She paused again, choosing words carefully. Someone I have come to regard as essential. Your Majesty, I'm honored. But I have responsibilities to Earth, to my own people. I know. I understand duty. I respect it. The Queen clasped her hands behind her back. But I wanted you to know the truth before you leave. You matter, not just to Nira, to me as well. Before Minho could respond, alarms blared through the palace. Both of them went instantly alert. The Queen's communicator activated. Your Majesty, we have a situation. Void Talon forces detected at the northern border. They're moving this way. How many? At least 200. Heavily armed. This is not a raid. This is an assault. The Queen's expression hardened. Initiate defensive protocols. Mobilize all forces. I want the princess secured immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. She looked at Minho. Get Nira to the secure bunker. Stay with her. Protect her with your life. Where will you be? Leading my forces. This is what queens do. She moved toward the door, then paused. Minho, what I said, I meant it, all of it. Remember that. Then she was gone, moving with deadly purpose toward the battle. Minho ran back to the training room. Nira saw his face and immediately understood something was wrong. What happened? We need to go, now. He took her hand and ran. They reached the secure bunker, a reinforced room deep in the palace. Other royal staff and nobles were already there. Guards stood at the entrance. I need to go help, Minho said to the head guard. Your duty is to protect the princess. I know. But, no. Nira grabbed his hand tightly. Don't leave. Please don't leave me here alone. Minho looked at her frightened face. Then at the guard. I stay with her. They went inside. The bunker was comfortable but tense. Everyone knew what was happening above. The Void Talons had returned, and this time they brought an army. Hours passed. Updates came through communicators. The battle was fierce. The Void Talons were well prepared. Queen Araya was leading from the front, as Velith rulers did. She was devastating in combat, but the enemy kept coming. Nira sat pressed against Minho's side, trembling. Mother will be okay, right? She's strong. She's very strong. But father was strong too, and he didn't come back. Minho held her closer. Your mother is one of the strongest people I've ever met. She'll survive this, but he wasn't sure. He could hear the battle through the thick walls. Explosions, weapons fire, screaming. It sounded bad. More hours. Nira fell into restless sleep against him. Other nobles whispered nervously. The guards by the door looked tense. Then Commander Varys burst in, his armor cracked and bleeding. The north wing is breached. They're in the palace. We're falling back to secondary positions. Everyone started talking at once. Panic spread through the bunker. What about the Queen? Someone asked. Still fighting. Varys paused. She's holding the main courtyard with 30 guards against hundreds. She won't retreat. She'll die, another noble said. She's buying time. For the princess. For all of us. Minho stood carefully, settling Nira into a chair. Watch her, he told Suman, who had appeared with Varys. Where are you going? Suman demanded. To help the Queen. You'll die. It's a massacre out there, then I'll die. I'm not sitting here while she sacrifices herself. Commander Varys grabbed his arm. Your duty is to the princess. My duty is to both of them. Minho pulled free. Guard Nira, I'm going. He ran before anyone could stop him. Behind him, he heard Nira wake up and scream his name. It broke his heart, but he kept running. The palace was chaos. Bodies everywhere. Fires burning. He grabbed a weapon from a fallen guard and kept moving toward the sounds of heaviest fighting. He found the courtyard. Queen Araya stood in the center, surrounded by the last of her royal guard. They were holding a defensive position, but barely. Void Talon fighters circled like predators. The Queen was magnificent and terrifying. Her combat skills were incredible. But she was tiring. Even she had limits, Minho didn't think. He just charged into the fight. He shot 2 void talons from behind. The queen's head snapped around. Mingo, what are you doing here? Helping. You should be with Nira. She's safe. You're not. There was no time for more words. The void talons attacked again. Minho fought alongside the queen and her guards. He was outmatched by every opponent, but he was clever and desperate. He used tactics instead of strength. But there were too many. They kept coming. A void talon broke through and charged the queen from her blind side. She didn't see him. Minho did. He threw himself between them. The blade meant for the queen hit him instead. Pain exploded through his shoulder. No! The queen's scream was raw and terrible. She killed the void talon with her bare hands, then caught Minho as he fell. More guards arrived. The void talons were being pushed back. The tide was turning, but Minho couldn't see it anymore. His vision was going dark, the queen's face above him, her black eyes wide with fear. Stay with me. Don't you dare leave. Do you hear me? Don't you dare. Nira, Minho managed to say. Tell her. Tell her family doesn't leave. Tell her I tried to stay. 3 days later, the Eternal Dawn arrived at Valoria Prime. News of the Unity's gate evacuation had spread quickly through the Empire. Princess Hana had saved 4,000 lives without firing a single shot. The story was being told in every corner of Valorian space, and in every telling the humans featured prominently. Hana stood in the palace courtyard watching her father approach. Emperor Daesung looked older than she remembered, but his eyes were sharp with intelligence. My daughter returns victorious, he said, embracing her. Though I hear victory came in an unusual form. The humans, Hana said simply. They made the difference. Yes, the Council of Worlds has been discussing nothing else for 2 days. Earth's ambassador has been very busy answering questions. Some species are concerned. Others are impressed. All are nervous. They should be, Hana said. Father, everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong. They are not weak. They are not harmless. They are survivors from a world that tried to kill them for millions of years. They learned to fight so well that they scared themselves, so they chose to stop. But the capacity remains. Her father nodded slowly. I knew, not everything, but enough. When Earth first made contact with us, their diplomats were very careful to present themselves as peaceful. But our intelligence services noticed things. Gaps in their military records, hidden facilities, training programs that seemed excessive for a defensive force. We investigated quietly and learned about the Krath. After that, we understood. Earth did not want to be feared, but they also would not be victims again. So you knew when you sent Taman with me, Hana said. I hoped, her father corrected. I knew humans were capable. I did not know if they would act when needed, but I trusted that if anyone could prevent a war, it would be someone who truly understood what war costs, and humans understand that better than most species. They walked together through the palace gardens. Cherry blossoms fell around them like snow. What happens now? Hana asked. Earth has requested a formal meeting with the Council of Worlds. They want to clarify their position, make it clear they are not a threat but also not defenseless. It is a difficult balance, but I think they can manage it. Humans are excellent at saying uncomfortable truths in comfortable ways. And Warlord Crix, the Terexian Dominion, has recalled him. They are claiming the blockade was unauthorized action by a rogue commander. They are apologizing and requesting peaceful relations continue. Of course, it is all political theater, but it allows everyone to avoid war. Crix will be punished just enough to satisfy honor, then quietly promoted somewhere else. Everyone saves face, Hana smiled bitterly. So the humans were right. Show strength, avoid killing, let everyone find a peaceful way out. It is good strategy, her father agreed. Better than the alternative. A servant approached and bowed. Princess, Ambassador Taman requests an audience. Send him to the Eastern Garden, Hana said. I will meet him there. She found Taman waiting by the koi pond, watching the fish swim in lazy circles. He looked different somehow, more relaxed. The constant alertness she had noticed before was still there, but softer. Princess Hana, he said, bowing in the Valorian style. He was getting better at it. Just Hana is fine, she said. We have been through too much for such formality. Then please just call me Taman. No titles needed. They sat on a bench overlooking the pond. For a while neither spoke. It was a comfortable silence, the kind that only exists between people who have faced danger together. I wanted to apologize, Taman finally said. For what? For deceiving you. When we first met, I let you believe I was just a harmless diplomat. I let you think humans were weak. That was unfair to you, Hana shook her head. You did what your people asked you to do. Present a non-threatening face while keeping your true capabilities hidden. I understand the strategy now. I even respect it. Still, you deserved the truth earlier. Maybe. But would I have believed you? Before the mining colony, before Unity's Gate, if you had told me humans were dangerous, I would have thought you were exaggerating. Some truths need to be seen to be believed. Taman nodded. That is wise. You have changed, Princess. When we met, you looked at me like I was a burden. Now you look at me like an equal. That means more than you know. You are more than an equal, Hana admitted. At Unity's Gate, you saved 4,000 lives without violence. You turned a certain war into a peaceful withdrawal. You did what my warriors and I could not do. That deserves recognition. We simply did what needed to be done, and we could not have done it without you. You trusted us when trust was difficult. You gave us permission to act when the easier choice would have been refusing. You protected the evacuees while we handled the deception. It was a team effort. A flower petal landed in the pond, creating ripples that spread across the surface. Hana watched them expand and fade. Can I ask you something personal? Hana said, Of course. That knife you showed us, the one passed down through your family, how many people have you killed with it? Taman was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. 17. All in combat situations where I had no choice. I remember every face, every name when I knew it. That is the burden humans carry. We can kill efficiently, but we cannot forget easily. The memories stay with us. Does it bother you? The killing? Every day. But it would bother me more if I had not acted when action was needed. The miners at Kelmar 7 would be dead. The civilians at Unity's Gate would be hostages or worse. Sometimes the right choice is the one that lets you sleep at night, even if your dreams are troubled. Hana understood. She had killed in battle herself. She knew the weight of those memories. My father wants me to request you as my permanent diplomatic partner, Hana said, changing the subject to something less dark. He thinks your presence will help prevent conflicts in the border territories. Apparently, the Terexians and several other aggressive species are suddenly much more interested in peaceful negotiation. Taman smiled. Because they are afraid of humans now? Because they respect humans now. Fear and respect often look similar from the outside, but Earth has earned genuine respect. You showed strength and restraint together. That is rare. Most species only know how to do one or the other. I would be honored to continue working with you, Taman said, but I should warn you other species will react strangely. Some will be very polite. Others will be suspicious. Everyone will be more careful around you because I am there. Good. Careful diplomacy prevents stupid mistakes, and stupid mistakes cause wars. They sat in silence again, watching the koi. Somewhere in the palace, servants prepared for an evening banquet in honor of the successful mission. Hana knew she should attend. But for now, sitting here with Taman felt more important. Can you teach me? Hana asked suddenly. Teach you what? Human combat techniques. The way you moved at the mining colony. The way you think about tactics and strategy. I am a warrior by training, but I realize now that I have only learned one way to fight. I want to learn yours. Taman looked surprised. You want to learn how humans fight? I want to learn how humans survive. There is a difference. Your people turned survival into an art form. That knowledge would be valuable. It would be my honor, Taman said. Though I should warn you, human combat training is not just physical. Much of it is mental. Learning to stay calm under pressure. Learning to think several moves ahead. Learning when not to fight. That last part sounds most important, Hana said. It is. Any fool can throw a punch. It takes wisdom to know when punching will solve the problem and when it will make things worse. That wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from mistakes. Humans have made enough mistakes to learn from. A servant appeared again, reminding Hana that the banquet would begin soon. She stood reluctantly. Will you attend the banquet? She asked Taman. I suppose I should. Earth's ambassador will be there. I should probably coordinate with her to ensure we present a united message. What message is that? That humans are friends to those who value peace and a problem for those who do not. It is simple but effective. As they walked back to the palace together, Hana noticed the guards watching them with new respect. Servants bowed deeper. Even the nobles they passed seemed more deferential. The story of Unity's Gate had changed how everyone saw humans. The banquet that evening was elaborate. Every important Valorian official attended. Representatives from a dozen other species arrived as well, curious to see the humans who had faced down a Tyrexian fleet with nothing but psychology and bluff. Hana watched Taman navigate the social gathering with the same skill he had shown in combat. He was charming without being weak, confident without being arrogant. He answered questions about Earth honestly but carefully, never revealing too much. It was a performance, but a genuine one. Later, during a quiet moment, Earth's ambassador approached Hana. She was an older woman named Ambassador Heejin, with gray hair and eyes that had seen much. Princess Hana, thank you for trusting my people at Unity's Gate. I know it was a difficult decision. It was the right decision, Hana replied. Your operatives performed brilliantly. They did what they were trained to do. But training only works when someone gives you the chance to use it. You gave us that chance. Earth will not forget.